Helen Lederer is going to be my very first guest in a few moments. And I wonder whether she's ever had a facial where they put their hands in her mouth. I will ask her in a moment. It's one of my very best friends who's looking amazing. She looks amazing. Let me introduce her. And we'll continue to take calls on this. In fact, I'm going to speak to Helen about massage in a moment. Now, Helen Lederer, someone who had her first ever memoir coming out very, very soon, is my next guest, Helen Lederer. She is one of Britain's best-known familiar faces in the field of comedy, writing and acting. She's just appeared in Coronation Street. She's got the career that I've always envied, although we are really, really good friends. But whenever she does well, I always send her a message going, damn her, damn you, because she has the art of reinvention. She has reinvented herself so many times. She is always current. And as I say, she now has a memoir out, which actually isn't published yet. I'll tell you what it is. It's called Not That I'm Bitter. Gosh, that's me. That is me. She joins us from the privacy of her own home. Hello.
Oh, we could be twins. Now, you see, that is a whole projection, Joe, that I have the career that you want. You have the career that I want. And also, we look quite similar because we've both got spotted things on, although you're teeny tiny.
Can I just say, wider. I don't know. I haven't seen you. And Helen's going to say, oh, no, Joe, because whenever I invite you, you never turn up. Because Helen is a social creature and I'm not. But when I see her...
You have a dog.
And I have a dog. But when I see her, it's like I just feed off her for hours because she is one of the best things in life. But it's like a treat that I get to see her probably once or twice a year if I'm lucky. But I'm saying this to you now, Helen. I have never seen you look so good. I don't know.
It must be delighting.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I mean, we have to take the compliments, don't we, when they come? And I'm going to let you give me more compliments. Can you see my arms?
You look fantastic because you always say to me, Joe, if I have to come on your show, can we please do it early? I don't want to come on after 11 o'clock. And I thought, oh gosh, she's going to be in her pajamas. You look fantastic. Go on.
Well, I noticed, and so first of all, can I just say something about Luke and the massage?
Yes, go on.
Because I'm thinking about somebody putting their finger in my mouth, and what I'm reminded of is like somebody with rubber glove rubbing anaesthetic on, and that's not a very pleasant feeling. So I cannot imagine you electing to have people rummaging around in your mouth. I'm stunned you did it.
I met, I was going to name her and I won't, an A-lister on Harley Street in London, and I'd interviewed her once, and so I reacted as though I knew her, and I said, hey, where have you been? And she said, oh, I went and had this facial where they literally put their fingers in your mouth and massage. Now this girl, she's 30 years younger than me, she's absolutely stunning, and I thought what's good enough for her is good enough for me, but yes. I couldn't afford those prices, so I went to Hackney, which is East London, to have mine done. Yeah. Very lowbrow and far cheaper, but it wasn't painful. I mean, vanity prevails, Helen. Vanity prevails.
Oh, gosh, yes. No, we have to do the best we can. And also, I was researching you before. I'm lucky enough to come on and obviously mention that my memoir is coming out next Thursday without going into, because I'll get arrested. There is a book police that will arrest you if you talk about it too much. But I mean, I am excited about it and very nervous. But I was researching you, and you have turned in to the model girl for Graton's catalogue. Now, do you remember Graton's catalogue?
Because I do.
Once when I was young at home, I actually ordered a Graton catalogue by myself. I don't know how I managed to do it. It was probably on a phone call. And my mother said, who did this? I had to own up. But you are modelling beautiful little suits and walking around tables and petite. You've become a clothes horse.
But also, have you noticed the way I model is so dated? In fact, someone wrote underneath, they went, that really is so dated, the way you're modelling. It's like, no one models like that who's cool. I'm not cool.
No, too many questions. I've got to ask you. But I mean, since when did this happen? Did you ask my permission? I mean, last time you were interviewing me on stage, which I would like you to do again. I want to take you as my mascot on tour, which I'm going to be doing.
Please.
Because you are a brilliant live person. I know you don't like parties, but you do like a bit of control in the chair. And I
love control in the chair.
What's happening with the vlog and the outfits?
Oh, the outfits. This is my new career, Helen. I'm massive on social media, everybody, massive. Well, so are you. You're bigger than me on social media.
I've just tried to do a new trick. I'm trying to learn. I have to have 500 different people putting posts on because I'm so I actually do it myself.
Well, I can't see. That's half the trouble. I can't see what I'm doing.
But we manage. We manage admirably.
Now, we're not going to talk too much about the book because it's embargoed until Thursday, but we can talk around it so that when you actually see all the publicity, which you will see, you will go, oh my gosh, yes, this is the book I want to buy. Because most of you know Helen Lederer. If you do not know Helen Lederer, then you must have been living in Mars. She was also, you were in Coronation Street on Gogglebox, I think, as well.
But you see, there's you and you see, we are so similar, twins, except for sizing issue. But I mean, there you were in Crossroads. Well, suddenly, out of the blue, quelle surprise, I'm invited to go on Coronation to be a squeeze for the lovely Ken Loach. No, not Ken Loach. Ken Roach.
Ken Roach. I always confuse them. Ken Loach and Ken Roach. They're both equally talented, and I think probably of similar age, actually, Helen.
Do you know, I was going to say that. That's why we're interchangeable. And then somebody told me, suddenly I think I've hit the big time to be in Coronation Street once, and then a week later appear on Gogglebox, like through a prism of Gogglebox being with Ken. Well, there's nowhere else for me to go.
It's a double whammy. Can I just ask, because everybody, and you need to read about Helen's early life, which I actually didn't know a great deal about until I started reading your book. I know bits of it. I didn't know that you were born 10 pounds in weight, which the way you described, because it's so funny, because this is so self-deprecating, because you said it's why no one ever picked me up very much because I was so heavy.
But there was a habit in those days, and I don't know if the same with your upbringing, so you're marginally younger, marginally. But my mum said quite cheerfully to me, "Oh, we just let you scream," like it wasn't like being mean. I just think the 50s, there were certain mores of how, and also we had to say please and thank you. Please, did you have to say please, can I get down from the table?
Yes, may I get down, please? Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think I still did that whilst my parents were alive when I was in my 50s. I think I still said at a Sunday lunch, may I get down now, please? But you're right. And you talk in the book, that we were left in prams in rows outside the houses with a cat net on. That was the only protection. Not that someone would steal you, but a cat could sit on your face. That was all they worried about, wasn't it?
And yet we were getting the fresh air.
We were getting the fresh air.
I might chilly. But so different mores, but here we are to tell the tale, which we are. Done.
But your childhood is really interesting, and there is a certain amount of self-analysing, I suppose. It explains a lot of I'm not a poor man. I'm not a Freud. I'm a poor man's Freud. But if you look back...
emotionally intelligent, Joe, if I may say.
When you look back, does it make sense of where you are now? And that's what I think is so brilliant about age, actually, is it makes sense. All those chapters that you and I have been through, where we are now, it's where we're meant to be, because we had to go through those. And yet... if I look, you celebrated, you were lucky enough. So you've been in Coronation Street, which you compared it to Crossroads. Crossroads was a fourth-rate soap opera. Coronation Street.
But you were in it a long time.
I was in it a long time. I was. But Coronation Street, you could put one episode on and it would stand on its own because it's so well written and it's so well acted. But prior to that, you've done, the best television. You did the wonderful 90s television. You did Ab Fab. You worked with the creme de la creme who broke all the television taboos, and you were part of that team. Did you know that you were at the time? Did you know how exciting it was?
No, but I don't think any of us did. It's just like that, people of our age group, what can you do? But sort of, well, by the end of it, I was just there. I think I was just present. I think, do you remember when you had ambition? When you start out, you have that huge ambition. And now what we'd say is we probably know what we are and we know what we're not. I sulked for a long time because I didn't get a sitcom, and I was very jealous of Miranda. I wasted a lot of my life being jealous of Miranda Hart, which is like 20, 30 years younger than me. But I think now, would you agree, you with your vlogging and your lovely suits? I don't have that. I'm looking for a hobby. If any suggestions, welcome. But it is a case of going, you know what, this is what it is.
Yes.
And kind of accepting the limits of my personality a bit more.
It's so...
we're not going to change, are we?
No, but I'm so jealous of Claudia Winkleman. I can't even promote Strictly. I can't promote Traitors. I can't... It may be hugely successful. She's got so much work that I want.
She has.
You know...
Is it her age? She's in her prime, though, because remember, she is a tad
younger than us.
Very shiny hair.
Yes.
And I do love her woolen jumpers and woolen tights. I mean, her, with the little leather patches on the elbows. And, I mean, that's a lot to admire. That's a lot to covet, isn't it?
Do you think as we get older we'll become less jealous?
No, I think it keeps us going. It gives us a spring in our step. Because one of your lovely vlogs that I was just looking at, and obviously you've been poorly, and then you just said, you made me laugh. Well, the omelette, making an omelette made me very excited. Couldn't believe I got so excited about a pan. But anyway, that you were saying that for you knew that for you, unlike some of your colleagues who have grandchildren and babysit, that wouldn't be your particular aspiration. But what a gift that is to know that you don't have a regret about what you're not doing. And I mean, and we have got a spring. Well, you've got more of a spring than me, but here we are. Obviously, I don't know if cushions will satisfy me as much as clothes horse does for you. But there's, I'm not crazy ambitious, but I'm not going to do nothing. I mean, for us, you and me, doing nothing is impossible.
Well, I couldn't bear seeing other people do it badly when I could attempt to be doing it myself. Do you know what I mean? I just think I'm not going to sit and watch everyone else do it when I want to be out there doing it myself, even if I'm not as good. The other thing, one of the things that, and I don't want your publishers to tell you off, but the other thing that you've never done before, and I know a lot about Helen, is in this book you go through the Ab Fab cast. And this is really unguarded, but very interesting, as you talk about each member of the cast when you all met and how friendly or less friendly they are. And I'm just going to name Joanna Lumley because you said Joanna Lumley is absolutely wonderful. And
we've talked about this as well, so it's not just in the book, because remember when we did the tour of the novel, Losing It, and you asked me questions, this was something we talked about then, wasn't it? So everything is in the public domain about that joining a group. And I think, again, that comes back to you and I, our experience about, our own insecurities, but also our sense of fun and how do we become part of the team and hierarchies. And so you and I have had some really good chats on stage, haven't we, about, we are quite honest, but the amazing thing about being honest is that people do connect with it at some level. I mean, why would we lie? I mean, we haven't painted ourselves as terribly nice, balanced people just in this moment.
I have said this, and if we do go back out on tour, I am going to do this now that my vlogging is so successful, is I am going to film Helen in the dressing room because Helen in the dressing room is like, and I've been in so many dressing rooms, as has she, but it's so unexpected because your nerves almost eat you up, don't they?
Yes, I'd be interesting to see if I'm a little bit better this time around. But I was doing something today talking about Rick Mail for a program about Rick Mail, and interestingly, Rick was very, very nervous as well. So I don't feel so bad. I mean, in those days, people would go, "Oh, neurotic equals woman," neurotic woman. It's a double black mark about you. Not only are you a woman, but you dare to show some nerves. It's a bit uncool. And then you would go comedy, woman, neurosis, like all together. But sometimes I think you have to have a bit of a maybe not as much as you saw in me. Are you talking about me pacing about and not speaking? Is that
just
what you're
pacing about up and down, pacing around? But and you will remember this, Joe, and you will. And have we done this? And I was just sitting there laughing because it's like a caged animal. But also when you go out and I suppose I've traded on this a lot is. All there is you, and that's why every single person that was setting you up like from last week to this week, they all age groups, they all go, oh, I love Helen Lederer, I love Helen Lederer. You do cross all generations, Helen, which is a gift. But
well, I don't feel that's lovely for you to say, but the important thing is that we are not complacent people. Like I'm worrying about something, I'm talking to you, loving you, and I'm also worrying about upsetting somebody else. It all comes out. I mean, I am that person that probably says a little bit too much, and the recipient will go, it was fine, Helen, until you just went down, talked about your bowel movements or whatever, or the man with the finger in my mouth just there. You know what I mean? I can just go a little bit too far for some people.
Do you think that comes from when you were doing stand-up? And we have talked about this before, because I can't imagine anyone dealing with nerves and then choosing to go out in front and try to make people who are sitting with their legs and their arms crossed, trying to make them laugh. Because the difference between going out in a theatre show to an audience where they're all so happy and they've put their makeup on and their perfume, to going out to a stand-up where they're just like, come on then, prove what you...
Absolutely. In the early days, then you go, it's a woman. Because it wasn't so normal. So, and I think, and you would agree with this, you've probably got about 2 seconds, 4 seconds before people decide whether they're going to give you a chance or not. And they might just sigh. And then, who knows now, being older, they go, and she's old. Damn. It's double. But, you just don't know, do you? Because you've got to give love to get it, as corny as that sounds. And jumping out onto a stage, I used to remember, was like drowning, like into a swimming pool. You like when I did the splash, you just go, you're into the unknown. But it was like, here you go. There's no going back, is there?
No.
You've got to get on that thing.
But that's your tendency, which is what I think everybody loves, is that you go up to the line and then you step straight over it. I think that comes from you doing stand-up, because there is a certain amount of self-destruction in stand-up.
Yes.
You can just see them doing it, where you just think, right, now I'll chuck every toy out the pram before I exit. And I think you still do that. You do that a lot, but that's your endearing quality, I think.
Well, only endearing if one is disposed to give me a second chance. But I mean, obviously there have been gigs that haven't worked, but there have been enough gigs that have worked. So yeah, going out, you'll be you see, if I'm interviewed by you, because you're so good and fascinated at humankind and dogkind, aren't you? Genuinely. We know that we're going to be in for fun because you're genuinely interested, and I quite like talking about myself, and I like talking to you. But if you're on your own, you've got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can't just sort of amble on and hope. You've got to hit the ground running, haven't you?
Yeah, you're absolutely... Helen, we have to wind up now. So listen, all I can say to everyone is please follow Helen on social media, because that will give you all the details of her book on publication day on Thursday. It is out on Thursday. We've literally just skimmed the surface. I've dropped enough little nuggets for you to think, okay, you've read her works of fiction. Many of you have read her works of fiction. This is her memoir. It's basically what she and I have toured the country talking about, but a hell of a lot more that I didn't even know was in this. Helen, what's your social media handle?
I think it's my name. I think you do the @ thing and then you just say my name, which is Helen Lederer. Last time I looked. Oh, I hate that.
And if people DM you, will you answer?
Oh yes, yes, I'm going to do that a lot more and do things like ha ha and he and put emblems on. I'm going to really do that. I want to do that.
Please, everybody, DM her, because I can't wait to see this. Helen, thank you.
Love you. Oh, I'm so glad you're better now.